The movie begins in a dry desert with a scorching climate and winds carrying sand for miles around a central lake. A fisherman in the middle of the lake is fishing while drinking beer. Suddenly, something pulls on his line, startling him. His beer falls into the sea, and he reels in a fish. Unbeknownst to him, an earthquake has opened the lake bed, creating a whirlpool at his location. He hastily tries to start his small boat to escape, but the current is too strong. The water flips his boat, and he falls into the center of the whirlpool. Piranhas swarm, biting him, ending his fishing career. In the next scene, it's spring break, and many people, mostly students, come to Lake Victoria to enjoy their holiday. People crowd the lakeside, partying, and many drive speedboats into the lake. Many students rush into the town, causing some chaos. Officer Julie is dispatched to handle the troublesome students. She arrests a young man who crashed into a parking meter. He tries to physically resist arrest, but Officer Julie subdues him with a taser, also telling his useless friends to back off. A college student named Jack arrives at Lake Victoria, where he meets an old friend, Kelly. She tells Jack about the chaos of spring break. Jack says he's just there to pick up his sister. Kelly's boyfriend picks her up, but before they leave, he throws a drink at Jack and then speeds away. Jack's sister meets a model named Danny. She tells Danny that she has been waiting a long time for her brother. Jack is in a bad mood because of the earlier drink spill. Despite Jack's mood, Danny compliments his shirt. Danny's boss arrives, and he orders the photography team to fetch specific items needed for the shoot. He looks at Jack, asks if he wants a job taking them around town to find good shooting spots. The boss suddenly receives a phone call. He says he wants the biggest boat the town can offer. He convinces Jack to take the job, then leaves with Danny. Officer Julie turns out to be Jack's mother. She talks to Jack, telling him that despite his plans for tomorrow, he should still take care of his siblings while she is busy with work. Jack reassures her and tells his mother that although he has a busy job tomorrow, he will still look after his siblings. In the evening, Deputy Sheriff and Julie drive to the lakeside where the fisherman had disappeared. They arrive at the dock, where the Deputy Sheriff informs Julie that the local government will send a team of divers to investigate the seismic activity at the lake's bottom. They find the fisherman's boat at the end of the dock, and as Julie tries to approach it, she accidentally falls into the lake. They pull the body ashore, and the Deputy Sheriff tells Julie that the body had been in the water for several weeks. Julie suggests they close the lake until they receive the autopsy report. However, the Deputy Sheriff says they can't close the lake because this week is a major financial year for the town, and draining the lake would be easier than closing it. The next day, a person jumps into the lake from the top of a cliff and is killed by piranhas. Jack and his siblings are playing on the dock. Jack pleads with his annoying siblings to leave him alone so he can spend his day in the lake. Jack's sister tells him they will leave him alone if he gives them money. He gives them money and tells them not to open the door for anyone, to lock the door, and wait for him to come home. The Deputy Sheriff and Julie warn many children not to litter in the lake. The divers sent by the local government arrive, and the Deputy Sheriff and Julie greet them. They inform the divers about the location of the seismic activity and ask the two to take them there. Jack joins the crowd gathered to watch Danny and another model being photographed partying on top of a boat. The crowd bursts into cheers, and as Jack navigates through the crowd, he unexpectedly runs into Kelly. Kelly asks him why he is here instead of taking care of his siblings. Jack pauses, but is suddenly called onto the boat by the boss. The boss walks up to Jack and asks Kelly if she would like to join them in the shoot. Despite Jack's protests, she accepts the invitation. Kelly's boyfriend sees Jack and gives him a smug look rather than a hormone-driven one. Jack's brother persuades his sister to join him on a boat to see if they can catch fish. The sister is annoyed but goes along with him. She declares that when she becomes a rock star, she won't let her brother be a groupie. Later, Jack and others arrive at the center of the lake. They dock the boat where Jack instructs them to. Danny and another model jump directly into the water, while Kelly keeps her distance on a float. The models dance gracefully in the water, while Jack and the boss watch the shooting. During the shoot, Julie calls her son to ask where he is. He tells her he's at home, but she says no one is answering the home phone. He lies that he stepped out briefly, but is now with his siblings. Suddenly, the boss and the photographer start yelling at the models during the shoot, and Julie asks if someone is with him. Jack ends the call, noticing Kelly is no longer wearing her life jacket. He takes off his shirt and dives into the water to look for Kelly. He calls out to Kelly, who turns around and tells him to get back on the boat because the shoot is over. Meanwhile, the two siblings row the boat to a small island in the lake, but the brother fails to secure the boat properly. The boat drifts away, leaving them stranded on the island. The sister complains about her brother's foolish fishing plan. They see a speedboat in the distance and shout for help. The younger sister approaches the water to ask for help. However, she cuts her foot on a sharp rock, attracting the attention of piranhas. Still, she manages to leave the shoreline before the piranhas can attack her. Julie and the seismologist Novak dock at the site of seismic activity. She asks about a map one of Novak is holding, which turns out to be a map of the cave systems under the lake, opened by the earthquake. Due to the cracks formed after the earthquake, the two lakes are now connected. Two divers descend into the lake to explore the newly emerged crack. They enter a large fissure, discovering it is at least 200 feet high. They move deeper into the passage but begin to lose contact with Julie and Novak. The divers enter a large cave filled with yellow plants, which turn out to be piranha egg sacs. One diver picks up one of the eggs and is bitten to death by piranhas. Seeing this, the other diver rushes back but also dies in the process. The Novak dives in to see what happened. He too is attacked by piranhas, but manages to return to the boat. He drags the other diver's body and a piranha onto the boat. Meanwhile, the boss tries to convince Kelly to participate in their photo shoot. Initially, she refuses, but after the boss insists, Jack steps in to tell him that she has already declined. Suddenly, Kelly expresses anger towards Jack and agrees to join the shoot. Danny persuades the boss to let Jack join the shoot as well. When they are about to kiss for the camera, Kelly suddenly pushes Jack away and spits out the tequila she had drunk earlier. Julie and Novak visit the home of a marine biologist. They show him the piranha they brought and ask what piranhas are doing in the lake, revealing that 2 people have died because of them. The expert tells them that the piranhas they brought are actually a prehistoric species that disappeared from the earth thousands of years ago. He shows them a fossil and tells them that these piranhas must have survived over the years by eating humans. Novak tells the expert that the earthquake opened a passage to the home of the piranhas, which contains thousands of them. Jack's task is to film the surrounding scenes while the boss and other crew members party on the boat. Jack sees his brother and sister waving for help from the island. The boss is angry with Jack for missing a good shot. However, Jack tries to convince the boss that his siblings need help. The boss is relentless, but when Jack tells him that his mother is a police officer, he relents and lets Jack take charge. The lakeside party starts to become chaotic and noisy. The DJ tells everyone to get loud, and the crowd erupts. Julie and the deputy sheriff begin to shut down the party, but due to the noise, the deputy sheriff uses his gun to get the crowd's attention. He orders everyone to get off the water. However, the DJ plays the music again, and people start jumping into the water. A small boat reaches the island where Jack's siblings are stranded. Jack tells them to get on the boat so they can all go home. The boss is irritated by the siblings' slow pace and urges them to get on the boat quickly. Jack asks Kelly to look after his siblings and keep them away from the boss. The boat's propeller gets stuck, and the boss berates Jack, blaming him for everything. He accuses Jack of planning a mutiny and orders Jack to go into the water to fix the propeller while he pilots the boat. Julie and the deputy sheriff try to get everyone out of the water, but people do not heed their warnings. The piranhas launch a ferocious attack, and many people become their victims. People start to panic and swim rapidly towards the shore. Julie and Novak do their best to help more people, but the boats become too crowded, and many people die as a result. The boss attempts to untangle the propeller and succeeds, but he accidentally crashes the boat into a rock, flipping it over. The boss and another model are quickly knocked into the water and perish. Jack opens the skylight and extends his hand to Kelly. The deputy sheriff and other officers try to get as many people out of the water as possible. The deputy sheriff grabs a boat's propeller and kills as many piranhas as he can, buying enough time for many people. However, the piranhas bite off his legs, and he slowly sinks to the bottom, unable to surface due to the weight of his lost limbs. Julie is attending to the wounded when she receives a call from Jake, who's guilty about the situation with his siblings. This worries Julie, but dread and panic wash over her as she discovers that their boat is sinking. Julie boards the nearest speedboat, jumping over capsized watercraft and floaters. Novak leaves his jet ski to come to Julie's aid. Jake, Danny, and the kids start to get hopeful at the sight of Julie and Novak. Since their boat is stuck in the rocks, it's impossible for the speedboat to come closer. Novak grabs a rope, and Julie throws the one end at Jake, who ties it on the deck, while Julie ties the other end to the speedboat. Julie crosses the rope towards the Barracuda, while Novak keeps the speedboat's motor on, heaving the rope so it stays suspended over the water. The family reunites, but Julie learns that Kelly is still trapped in the cabin. The skylight is too small for Kelly, who's now overcome with fear. Julie decides to let everyone cross the rope onto the speedboat first and come back for Kelly, but Jake insists on staying with Kelly until he figures a way to save her. He blames himself for letting Kelly come with them, and now she's in danger. Julie hesitantly obliges and crosses back to the speedboat with her children, following Danny. Numerous piranhas are leaping out of the water, desperate to get a bite. Because of the weight of 4 people, the rope lowers towards the water until piranhas reach and latch onto Danny's hair, eventually dragging her down to her demise. The 2 kids make it to the boat safely just before the bar where the rope is tied on the deck comes loose, submerging Julie into the water. Luckily, the loose bar gets stuck to another railing. Novak steps on the gas, heaving the rope and suspending Julie over the water as she clambers to safety. Below deck, piranhas threaten Kelly as she swats them with a frying pan. Jake removes the rope from the railing and ties it onto himself, connecting him to the speedboat. He takes Derek's body, who's surprisingly still alive but dies seconds after. Jake throws the bloody Derek in the water to attract the piranhas. This gives Jake enough time to get to Kelly, who's relieved to be rescued. Jake asks her to tie 2 flares together while he releases the gas off some stored propane tanks. He radios Novak to start pulling them out 10 seconds after he gives the signal. Jake pulls Kelly close to him, giving Kelly assurance and security, and they kiss. He gives the signal, and the 2 swim towards the bottom of the boat. After 10 seconds, Novak struggles desperately to start the engine. Jake lights the flare and throws it to the boat. Piranhas rapidly close in on the couple. Jake sees them and protects Kelly by wrapping his arms around her. Finally, Novak starts the engine and steps on the gas, dragging the couple away from the piranhas and the boat. Simultaneously, the flare floats to the surface, and with the help of the open gas tanks, the air combusts and the boat explodes, killing all the piranhas in the vicinity. They stop at a safe distance, quickly hoisting the couple out of the lake. After catching their breaths, Goodman radios Julie to tell her the bad news. He studied the specimen they brought him. The piranhas they were fighting against do not have mature reproductive organs, which means they are juveniles. Novak asks where the parents are, and an adult piranha, the size of a shark, leaps out of the water and eats him.